Don't Trust Our Opinion, Don't Trust Our Opinion podcast. It's your boy back in the building. It's your boy OJ.
CJ pause, man. Oh shit, it's not Untitled Chapter.
Yeah, like
Oh shit.
yeah.
Fuck.
Here you are.
I'm here for a history lesson, man.
Yeah, a lot of people probably don't even know you because they like people that tune into the history probably never see you before.
Yeah, you never seen me before, but you know.
But if you're a fan of the channel, you've definitely seen.
Pause, man.
Yeah, so.
They don't even know why they call me pause, man. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, if you know why he's called Pause, man, put it in the comments. That's gonna let us know that you're a real OG.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what we got today?
Alright, shit. I didn't even want to pronounce this shit. Alright, so this is the Napoleonic Wars.
Ooh, I think you got that.
I don't know.
I think you got it, bro.
I'll subdue the comments, but like it's the Napoleonic Wars. So Napoleonic Wars, whatever. That's how I think it is. You know,
I felt this
I don't
part
see
of
this
social
word.
studies.
I don't see this word all the time, so I'm not gonna.
I felt this part of social studies, bro. This was global history, I think.
Oh, for real?
I think so. And I failed.
I don't remember this at all. I passed every history regents I had, but I don't remember any of it now.
I remember some of it. Just this shit, that was a fuck with it.
And yo, shout out to my dude. Damn, what's this dude's name? Hold on a sec. Damn, I don't want to take too much time, but shout out to my dude. You know who you are. He DM'd me. He said, when you gonna start drinking on the channel again? I'm back. You know what I'm saying? I had to take a hiatus, but I'm back.
Oh, they noticed that? That's crazy.
Somebody noticed that, yeah.
All right, let's get it.
This is it. One last push, and we're done. Congratulations. It's a general. Oh, and here comes the rest of the army now. Did you just say the rest of the army?
Hold on, before we even get started, yo, I'll be pissed if I had a girl, right, and she get pregnant and we end up having like quadruplets or something like that.
I ain't gonna front. I probably ask for a DNA test after that.
Yeah, because that shit facts. That don't even run in my family.
Bro, that run in my family. I don't know what you did to me.
Have you been having sex with T and Tamara's father?
History is full of great conquerors, many with very impressive origin stories. For example, Alexander the Great was the son of a king. Julius Caesar came from an aristocratic family that descended from a goddess. Great conquerors don't usually come from relatively insignificant families living on impoverished islands. But as it just so happens, that is where our story begins. In the early 18th century, the island of Corsica was a part of the Republic of Genoa until one day Corsica said, hey, we're declaring independence and it's probably not worth your time to try and stop us. So Genoa said, you're right, it isn't worth their time. Hey France, you want to buy this island? And France said, sure thing. And thus, Corsica became France, just in time for Napoleon to be born French. Many Corsicans didn't appreciate their new conquerors, however, and from an early age, Napoleon developed some fairly anti-French sentiments. Napoleon's dad, however, quickly embraced his new French overlords, which created some tension between dad and son. Ooh, look at me. I'm dad. I wear powdered wigs and silver-buckled shoes, and I'm a traitor to the Corsican people. Go to your room, Napoleon. No, you go to your room, Dad. Okay. On the other hand, Napoleon adored his mother, who was definitely the disciplinarian of the family. And even though she would punish Napoleon severely, he kind of respected that. But Napoleon's parents wanted the best for their family. And since they were a very...
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just asking. Your mom used to do that to you?
She never used to put me over her knee. Stuff like that, you know. But yeah, she used to give me some ass whippings, you know. But it's funny because the older I got, I started to realize that some people like that. You know? Shout out to those some people out there.
You real creative. Huh?
Yes, sir.
inner nobility, they were able to have Napoleon sent off to the shining lights and rat-infested sewage puddles of the big city. Napoleon went to military school in France. Okay, Napoleon, why don't you introduce yourself to your new classmates? Well, I'm Napoleon, and I hate all of you. Your farts smell like cheese, you can't pronounce the letter R, all you do is go on strike, and you call eggs oofs like a bunch of big dumb idiot dingleberries. Okay. Thanks, Napoleon. I hope you like being bullied. And bullied he was. They picked on him for his Corsican accent, his family's lack of wealth, And it probably didn't help that he also had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, but he could hold his own, and on an average day, might be found dishing out ratatouille sandwiches for breakfast. He spent much of his time alone, and he loved reading about the great conquerors of history. He learned about Julius Caesar, and he wondered if one day he too might have a pizza franchise named after him.
Yeah.
He excelled at math and geography, and when he graduated at the age of 16, he was made second lieutenant in an artillery regiment. Now, second lieutenant might sound pretty sweet
Alright,
to
I
a
don't mean to pause this, right? But I just want to say something, right? Do you think men like math more than women?
I think so, yeah. I think
Why
so.
is that?
I don't know. I just think that because men is... God damn it.
See, that's how you get them. Go ahead.
Men are more logical, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, when it's come to like books and shit, it's all about imagination.
I just got that, but it's funny because I didn't want to bring. I just thought about it because Napoleon was good at math and geography. So I'm like, okay, is that what made him go up in the ranks?
Yeah.
You know, but there's some women out there that are mathematicians, right? And there's some men out there that's good at English, right?
Those the ones with a lot of brothers.
Nah, man. I don't know what
Like
you're
you,
talking about.
but
bro.
Napoleon had a little something called ambition. Stonks of it. And he wasn't content being just some junior officer. He wanted to rise the ranks. Unfortunately for him, that would be a little difficult. Well, Napoleon, I've reviewed your application.
We even
It's
got
clear
arms?
you're very skilled and would be
Oh,
a
the black
perfect
things
fit
on
for
his
the
arms.
promotion. And Simeon, you're just about the biggest idiot I've ever seen. Your test results suggest you have the mental aptitude of a senile earthworm, and in the part of the form where you list your experience, you seem to have drawn a picture of a gerbil giving birth to a shoe. But your dad is the Marquis de Lafayette, so you get the job. French society was just too closed off. Positions were handed out based on nobility, not talent, and the young Napoleon probably felt stuck. Wouldn't it be nice if, say, a revolution came along and changed all of that? Well, what are the chances? The French Revolution is here. Bastille toppling, head chopping, king popping. The revolution promised to do away with the old social hierarchy and make everyone a little more equal. Napoleon may not have cared much for the violent mobs, but if it meant he could rise the ranks, he was in. He began fighting to defend the revolution. He put down a British-sponsored counter-revolution in Toulon and got promoted. He put down a royalist uprising in Paris and got promoted. And as his military prowess became more recognized, he was even given his very own army. It was astonishing progress for such a young man of humble origins, and Napoleon's wildest dreams were coming true. But
Okay.
Napoleon also believed he could increase his social status if he married an older rich lady. And so around this time, Napoleon went on the prowl. However, if some sources are to be believed, he was a verified
Come on,
creep.
son.
He reportedly had terrible luck with women, and most wanted nothing to do with him. Fortunately,
Bro.
he eventually met Josephine, an aging single mother who was deeply in debt.
So I have a question, right? For everybody that can, if you want to comment on that, right? I've heard some people say that they honestly date certain women to increase their status when it comes to social circles, right? Do you believe some men do that, or like guys just like women just based off of like physical attraction?
I think most guys like women based on physical attraction, but you know, there's some guys that.
But I like, do you like? Alright, so like it may be a power move for like, I suppose somebody's trying to get like a suppose it's like a corporate party, right? Mm-hmm. And some guy's trying to get like a promotion, and he pulls up with the baddest chick. Mm-hmm. You don't think like the boss would look at that guy like, oh man, like
he's the shit.
like he's the guy. Like how can he get the girl like that and he's not even on, like, you know?
I mean, I think it happens, but I don't think that's like the norm. Like that's normal. You know,
okay.
It happens on an everyday basis. I don't think
Okay.
it happens on an everyday basis.
Let us know, man.
Cause you ain't performing, then you ain't performing, nigga. You can't get promoted. But it's America, so
Yeah, you never know what they doing behind the. All right.
it's America. This ain't America.
Needed stability, so she agreed to marry him despite finding him intensely disgusting. Napoleon, you dirty
Was he
dog,
that ugly?
you've done it. Unbeknownst to Napoleon, however, Josephine had a bit of a promiscuous reputation.
Oh,
Hey,
she was
Napoleon,
skeet?
I hear you're marrying Josephine. Boy, she sure is a great kisser.
She's a thought?
That's right. Hey, wait, what do you mean she's a great kisser? Hey, Hugo, you hear Napoleon's marrying Josephine? Wow, she sure is a great kisser. Now hang on just a minute, everyone.
smashed this
Napoleon's
girl, bro.
marrying Josephine. Oh yeah,
They smashed this girl, man.
I know one dude was telling others like, yeah, I had it like this. Like I know one dude was going crazy on that. You know.
Yo, damn, bro.
Shout out to Josephine, man.
For goodness sake, is there anyone here who hasn't kissed my wife? Yeah, you.
Wow.
As Napoleon fell madly in love with his new wife, she fell madly in love with a man named Hippolyte. It wouldn't be long, however, before Napoleon would leave home.
We don't love these.
Because while France was having its revolution, tensions
love
in
these
Europe
hoes.
were rising. Hey, Austria, you'll never guess what we just did. What's that, France? I got 2 words for you.
Suck it.
Revolution. We totally just socked it to our monarchy. What? Dude, the rest of us are monarchies. You've just totally threatened the balance of power in Europe. Now we have to worry about our stinky peasants rising up against us. I mean, holy hell, your queen is... Okay, friends, this is pretty awkward. And the rest of Europe is probably itching to give you a wedgie. But you're not ready for a war yet. So you gotta be cool, man. It's absolutely crucial that you say something to defuse the situation right now. Preposterous! I declare war.
Yo.
Sacre bleu! So France ended up at war with basically the rest of Europe, and the War of the First Coalition began. At first, France struggled, but then they started to do surprisingly well, and in many conquered territories, they began to establish sister republics, exporting their revolutionary ideas across Europe. In 1796, they planned a 3-pronged attack to take Vienna and knock Austria out of the war, with 2 magnificent armies in the north to kick ass, and Napoleon in the south as a bit of a diversion. For the first time, Napoleon would lead a military campaign. This was his chance to prove himself, to be somebody. And what a general he proved to be. The army he was given were demoralized, lacking equipment, and underpaid. But Napoleon galvanized them with inspirational speeches, and he took them into Italy. He was outnumbered, and his campaign was partially meant to be a sideshow, but he made it the main show. While the 2 northern armies were being held back, Napoleon made staggering progress. In a signature Napoleon move, he masterfully split his enemies into 2 and took them on separately, knocking Sardinia out of the war and putting the Austrians on the run. At the famous Battle of Lodi, he was in the fray, aiming the cannons himself, getting covered in mud, and earning the total respect of his men. They respected him so much that when he ordered an almost suicidal assault on the only bridge in town, his men threw themselves at it and took it despite fierce Austrian resistance. For Napoleon, it was all he needed to confirm that he was the greatest human who had ever existed. Wow, Napoleon, you're pretty great at this military stuff. Just be careful your head doesn't get too big. What did you just say to me, you little prick? And as Napoleon swept through northern Italy, the Italians cheered his arrival. Yes, I'm here to liberate you from your cruel Austrian oppressors. And replace them with French ones. Napoleon plundered as he went, sending riches back to France to help its economy, but also paying his men the first real money they'd seen in years. The Pope had been supporting the Austrians, so Napoleon briefly went to go give him a slap, and as he began to approach Vienna, the exhausted Austrians were forced to make peace, with Napoleon overseeing negotiations himself. He had just single-handedly knocked Austria out of the war. And by the way, he was only 28, so maybe it's about time you moved out of your dad's attic.
Wow, you were forced to grow up so
Early back in the day.
yeah, right?
Damn.
Like when people like as soon as I turned 20, like people were like, oh, you're not married yet? Like what? Are you serious? Like wow.
So you're not a military leader or anything?
Yeah, you're 28. You're not a fucking military leader already. What the hell's going on with you?
What? You haven't killed someone.
Yeah, shout out to Napoleon, man.
Italian territories he had conquered, Napoleon established new French sister republics, even writing constitutions and organizing governments himself. Not something a
28
general
years old.
generally does.
Crazy.
When he got back to France, he was hailed as a hero, and the extremely unpopular government were concerned he might get some power-hungry ideas. So they agreed he should go far away from France to Egypt, where he could maybe undermine British access to India.
Now.
Napoleon was eager to win more glory, so he brought with him a team of scholars, and he was like, whoa, it's a freaky man-cat. Whoa, it's a big stick. Whoa, it's an ugly horse. Whoa, it's a stumpy little manlet. Hey, I'm actually average height for the time. And British Admiral Nelson came down and wrecked his fleet, and an Anglo-Ottoman force defeated him at Acre, so Napoleon abandoned his men and went back to France. His campaign in Egypt hadn't gone quite as planned, but one thing you should know about Napoleon was that he was a skilled propagandist. He published his own newspapers that sometimes exaggerated his achievements, and even commissioned paintings that generally made him look cool. So when he returned to Paris, he was yet again hailed as a hero, and he began to get some power-hungry ideas. First, however, he had a bit of a problem to deal with. See, he had learned something shocking about his dear wife. Really, Josephine?
She cheated?
This guy? I'm just as tall as him. I'm sorry, I swear. Now that you're becoming famous, I'll never do it again. Make sure you don't. I've never stooped so low as to cheat on you. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll be in this room consulting my generals for the next 30 minutes. And
You see how history repeats itself?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of women that do this shit today.
Yeah.
They cheat on you because you don't got the status. Once you get to status, they want to be like, oh, baby, you know I always loved you. You know we can have the best life. We can have a family. No, suck a dick.
Yeah, since the dawn of time, hoes will be hoes.
Hoes gonna be hoes, nigga.
You know?
History lesson. Don't trust our opinion.
consulting, I mean boinking. By my generals, I mean this woman. And by 30 minutes, I mean 2 seconds. Having dealt with his wife, Napoleon was then approached by a very influential politician who said he had an idea. He wanted to stage a coup against the deeply unpopular government and needed the extremely popular Napoleon's help. And Napoleon thought that was just the darn tootinest idea. The plan was to trap the government and convince them to voluntarily give up their power. And here's how they did it. Hey guys, oh my gosh, quick! There's a dangerous Jacobin plot to overthrow you, which we definitely aren't just making up. Better get inside this cage so we can protect you.
Don't do it.
Okay. Gentlemen, we got him. In this case, the cage was an isolated palace outside of Paris, with no one around but Napoleon and his army. With the government inside, Napoleon then entered, and a pretty chaotic event ensued, during which the government didn't seem entirely sure what was going on, Napoleon's men didn't seem entirely sure what was going on, and Napoleon himself didn't seem entirely sure what was going on. But thankfully, Napoleon's brother Lucien, president of the lower house, managed to regain control, and the remaining councilmen were intimidated into creating a new constitution. And thus, a new government was formed, this time with 3 consuls in charge. But after Napoleon did some rewriting, in the end, there was really only one man in charge, the first consul, him. And over the next few years, he worked to consolidate even more power, and essentially became a dictator in total control of France. And by the way, he was only 30, so maybe it's about time you washed your disgusting bedsheets. France was now ruled by possibly the greatest military leader of the time. Possibly the greatest? Or definitely? Well, now is his chance to prove it. See, back when Napoleon was still in Egypt, being Indiana Jones. Back home, France was in France, being France. They had conquered even more territory, and they were like, hey Piedmont, you get revolutionary ideals. Hey Switzerland, you get revolutionary ideals. And Rome, you get revolutionary ideals. Everybody gets revolutionary. Oh, hey guys, nice sledgehammers. And Naples, very cool nail gun. You guys here to get some revolutionary ideas? As France was still spreading the revolution, and with Napoleon busy in Egypt, the European powers felt the time was right for round 2, and the war of the Second Coalition began. And this time, their big bad boy buddy Russia was here to bang some French boys back to Bordeaux. And bang them, they did. France got blasted. But then Russia pulled out after stalling in Switzerland, and now that Napoleon was in charge of the country, he was ready to start blasting right back. He took command of the army of the reserve, and he brought the fight to the Austrians. Now, there are many traits that made Napoleon a great military leader. I already mentioned one of them, how he was one of the boys and commanded the total loyalty of his men. But now we see a second reason, the element of surprise. In 1800, Napoleon moved to Geneva, and it looked like he was probably going to take on the Austrian forces in Germany. There's no way he'd be crazy enough to move his entire army south through the Alps as a surprise attack on the Austrians besieging Genoa. Oh, Napoleon's moving his entire army south through the Alps as a surprise attack on the Austrians besieging Genoa. Napoleon's crossing of the Alps is legendary, and you may have seen one of the most famous paintings of the general, popping a sick wheelie on his majestic stallion surrounded by dangerous mountain terrain. Of course, in real life, he made the crossing on a depressed mule, but that's not as cool. When he emerged in Italy, the Austrians expected him to come break their siege, but Napoleon went for their supply line near Milan, forcing the Austrians to meet Napoleon head-on at the famous Battle of Marengo. The Austrians initially clobbered the outnumbered French, and they were like, Hooray! We won! But then a few hours later, Napoleon showed up again with an even bigger army, and he clobbered them right back. Holy cow! This tiny little fun-sized French guy is running rings around us! I'm average height for the time, you jerk! Then, after General Moreau's victory at Hohenlinden, Vienna was exposed, and the Austrians again sued for peace. Just like the War of the First Coalition, the Second Coalition ended in another French victory. But in many ways, they both felt more like Napoleon victories. Only the UK remained at war with Napoleon, and they were using their powerful navy to blockade French ports and were even seizing the cargoes of neutral ships. Obviously, everyone else got pretty pissed off that the British were interfering with their trade, so in response, they formed a league, and they embargoed the UK right back. Neutral countries protecting their own interests? That's offensive. So Britain went to Copenhagen and blew a bunch of stuff up, and the league disbanded. But because the UK's economy was pretty bust, they decided to sign a treaty with France in 1802. For the first time in a long time, Europe was at peace. Congratulations, sire, you've achieved peace. Yes, Pierre, but not for long. I still don't trust those dirty Brits. Did you hear they've been calling me the bony man? What does that even mean? Keep an eye on them, would you? I can't, sire. Why not? Because they use NordVPN.
You almost got us. You almost got us.
Yep, you slick bastard.
All right, so that was part one of the Napoleonic whatever wars oversimplified. This is our part one to their part one. We're gonna do a part two to their part one. Try to use your brains for that. So yeah, holla at your boys.